or something much more colorful like that.
All right. Well, the state of California is working to make it a lot easier to go green. Welcome back. Cindy Dole here. This is Home Wizards, and we talk about all things home, garden, and life improvement, and that includes certainly ways to save money and to save energy. So I know you have by now heard about this state program that just launched in LA County just a few days ago, rolling across the state up and down, and boy, people are eating it up. It's called Energy Upgrade, and the whole idea, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it is to incentivize you to do something to be a little smarter and to make your home a little smarter in terms of the energy that you're using. And to say, come on, you got to do it, there's all kinds of money that they're kind of dangling in front of us, thousands of dollars. But there's a catch. There's some things that you need to do because that's all going to be better for all of us in the end. And so what do you need to do and why? And how do you get your home assessed? And then what's going to happen when they find out that, oh my gosh, your home isn't very green? Well, with me is a guy who is in his scrubs because he just, I guess, has been working on a couple homes moments ago. I guess I should call him Dr. Dan. His name is Dan Thomsen, and he heads up the construction group called the Builder Doctors. Very cute little gimmick. They dress up as doctors because that's their approach to kind of giving us a prescription to our home. So welcome, Dan.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
So it's going over pretty well, huh?
Yeah, the program is just really starting now. It's just kind of getting out of the gate.
Yeah.
It started, they had a soft start in November, and now they're just getting up to full speed. Just to start with the advertising now, which is great.
And when people call you up and they call the state or call whomever, are they saying, you know what, I really think I need to be a little smarter than I'm wasting energy? Or what are you hearing people describe? Are they aware of what they're doing?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, like you said before, that you don't see these kind of things because they're the things that are hidden in the attic or in the crawl space or in the wall. So you aren't aware of all these things. But there's a new industry out there called home performance contractors that look at the house as a whole system. The problem that's always been as individual as a contractor is that the electrician never talks to the plumber, never talks to the drywall guy, never talks to the installation guy. Everybody kind of walks over each self. But now they've realized that if we treat the house as a whole system, it's a way to make the house work more energy efficient, healthier, better indoor air quality, as well as durability of the homes.
So it's like a body, basically.
That's what we do. The building doctors, we do that. We have a lot of sick houses
CPR.
out here. Absolutely, yeah.
Stat. I bet you guys have all the fun medical lines, don't you?
We absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely do. Yeah.
All right, so what happens then when if people listening, they go, you know what, boy, I think that we need to check this thing out. Before we have someone like you come and give us the solution, we need to have someone assess the problem, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It all starts with the audit or the assessment, whatever you want to call it, where we come in and we do some deep diagnostic tests to see everything that's going on in the home. What we like to say in the industry, we don't guess, we test. So we come in and we use these diagnostic-based tools.
You mean like this camera right here?
This is an infrared camera. I don't know if you remember to see. It is. You can see where.
Oh, it's kind of like Ghostbusters in a way.
Yeah, I remember cool. Predator a long time ago with our great governor. You could see. I don't know if you can see right there. You can see where I put.
Oh, yeah, I can see where you had the cough drop sitting there.
Where I had the cough drop, and then where I have my hand, you can see the heat signatures. So this is one of the tools that we use that actually lets us see into walls. Not really see into it, but it lets us see temperature differences. So we have these things called a blower door test. This is one of the staples of our industry, where it's an adjustable housing. It goes in an exterior door, and we can actually fill the house up full of air. And then with a probe, we can put a manometer gauge, which lets us tell the pressure difference between inside and out. And that lets us see what the overall leakiness of your home is. And we found that homes are 3 times, 4 times as leaky as they should be. So they're just constantly leaking air. And then with the infrared camera, we can go pinpoint where those leaks are. Because what we do is we set up the house in a depressurized situation. And so that means we're taking the air out of it, so it needs to be replaced with something else. So what we do is we have, as long as there's a 10-degree temperature difference between inside and out, this lets us see where those air leakage spots are. It lets us see where there's missing insulation, where there's a poorly performing insulation. Also lets us find water leaks and what have you. Really sophisticated stuff.
And I'm guessing when you go to the different homes throughout Southern California that we're in pretty bad shape, I bet, in terms of being efficient.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have probably the worst built homes in the United States. If we picked up a home here in Southern California and moved it to the southeast, it would fall apart in a couple years because we don't have humidity out here. So they just slap these things up, put no insulation, don't air seal them well. It's called dead plant material. That's all we're making things out of.
No.
But we don't have the humidity, so it doesn't fall apart quite as well. But there's all these little things that we can do to help tune up the house to make the house work a lot more efficiency.
So I'm glad we don't have humidity because it gives me a bad hair day. But yes, I wish we had humidity because then we would be smarter and we'd have better homes. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the people laugh at us up north. People that come down that realize that, my God, we don't have stuff here.
Okay.
And people just aren't aware of the things that of where
the problems lie, right?
Where the problems lie, and then what we're bound with. There's 16 different climate zones in the state of California. Uh-huh. And so each one is different, so you have to adjust the house to that particular climate zone of what's going to work well, what's not.
So when we have somebody come in and diagnose, to assess and give us the lab test,
right.
The lab results, there's 7 different upgrades. I hear, right? 7 or so?
Well, no, there's 2 different paths. There's on the it's called Energy Upgrade California. Mm-hmm. It's a statewide program that was mandated by the CPUC, which is the California Public Utility Commission, that all the independently owned utility companies want to make the existing residential housing stock 20% energy efficient or better by a certain year.
Right.
And so we here in Southern California, it's Edison and the gas company territory. And there's 2 different paths. There's the basic path, and then there's the advanced path. Basic path, there's 5 different measures that have to be done. Homeowner gets $1,000 if you do these paths. You have to add insulation in the attic to a certain level, R30. You have to put pipe wrap on your hot water pipes. You have to seal your ducts, which is your heating and air conditioning system.
And who does that? I mean, people aren't doing this stuff, unless you really are nudged into doing it. It's kind of like not a priority.
But because you don't know, because it's just sitting. Yeah. The average home in California has 30% duct loss. That means 30% of the air that you're paying to heat or cool is getting lost up into the attic or into the crawl space or in the walls itself. Also, really drastically affects your indoor air quality. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised how many people they say, when the furnace turns on, my eyes kind of burn. Well, that's because there's a tear in the return side, and it's drawing in insulation in the wall. Sometimes there's rat poop and all kinds of god-awful things that you don't want to know about. That's the air that you're breathing.
So what are the other items? You mentioned the 3, and then there's...
That was the pipe wrap, the insulation, the duct sealing down to 10% or less.
Okay.
Code in California is 15% you're allowed.
Okay.
On new installs is 6%. And then it's also carbon monoxide testing. We do combustion appliance zone testing so that a lot of homes in California have that little closet in the hallway that has a hot water heater or a furnace in it. And there's actually situations you can do. It's called worst case depressurization, excuse me, where you have all of the fans set up. Let's say if you're having a big Thanksgiving meal, everybody's over, all the bathroom fans are on, the dryer's on, as well as the fan over the stove. You've actually depressurized your house. So you're pulling all the air out of the house, right?
Oh, no.
So you get into a situation where a hot water heater is going to fail because there's not enough oomph to get the flue gases out of it. And
why don't you just catch your breath for a second? You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole, and we're talking with one of the contractors who's tied to this program, Energy Upgrade in California. And if you're thinking, maybe this is me, you might want to check out the website that kind of talks you through the whole process. It's simply energyupgradeca.org. And then when you go there, you can find out these different 5 things that we're talking about, and then there's 2 others or a few more, right? Or
a lot more. No, that's just the basic path. The advanced path, it's all on a performance base, which we'll talk about.
And you get a plasma TV with that or something.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, and a Prius.
Yeah. No, so really, what are the other ones in the premium package?
That was just the basic path.
Okay.
And I don't like take anybody in the basic path because the basic path, it's just too simple. The advanced path, if you do that same result, you get a minimum of a 10% energy efficiency improvement in your home. Uh-huh. You get $1,250 back. And then there's increments on up for that. So if you get a 15% improvement, you get $1,500, 20%, $2,000 on that same sliding scale, up to $4,000 for a 40% improvement the homeowner gets. And then for people that live within LA County, if you get a minimum of a 20% or better improvement, you get an extra $500 from LA County. So that's $4,500 on the plate, and that's a lot of dough. And then on top of it, there's still a federal tax credit of $500 for energy efficiency improvements. So you combine that, that's $5,000, which is that adds up. So it's usually like 30-40% off of things that you're going to need to do anyway. New furnace, new insulation, air sealing. Oh, the air sealing was the one I left up. Sorry, It was air sealing your home. Okay. And then there's a slew of other ones that highly efficient furnaces, air conditioning, whole house fans, windows, doors. All of these things. And again, it's all on a performance basis. So we do this audit in the beginning to benchmark to see where you are now. And then when we're done, we do that same audit again, and we can document exactly how much more energy efficient we've made your home. Okay, well, and that's what you're based on.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more when we come back about how much money we have to spend for some of these things and the trade-off, because I know that there's also some help that the state is offering that we can to finance this and make it happen, because I think a lot of people go, whoa, I'm scared. I want the money. I want to be smarter, but can I afford it, right? You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole. We're back right after this.
Come along, get it on. Is anyone gonna go waltzing in the garden? Is anyone gonna go dance up? I've given you plant food and water to sip. I've given you potash.
Welcome back. Cindy Dole here. We talk about all things home garden and growing and living better. Thanks for hanging out with me this Saturday. The number is 888-KFWB-980, 888-539-2980. What's this whole green thing anyway? And I'm sure you must have heard some of the commercials, or you've heard me talk about this energy upgrade thing that's going on throughout California. And it launched in LA County this week. And the website is energyupgradeca.org. And when you go there, you can kind of get a sense of what all this means. But we still want to have a better sense of how's it going to affect you. So with me is a guy who knows very well. He's a contractor and owner of the Builder Doctors. Dr. Dan Thomsen is here. So thanks, Dan. And we were talking about how terrible the homes are in California, specifically Southern California, in terms of just being thrown together and not having the what would you say? We're not efficient. We aren't weather protected because there's no humidity, so people think that they can just throw this up and not have any insulation, right?
Yeah, correct. And there's also a lot of times that people don't pull permits. 90% of all the heating and air conditioning jobs in California and in Southern California there's no permits are pulled. So when there's no permits are pulled, you're not held to task for doing anything. So
you mean installing an air conditioner?
Installing an air conditioning, a heating and air conditioning. So if you don't pull it, that means you're not doing it by the book. You're not required by the state. Title 24 rules that you have to have a duct leakage down to a certain point. If you don't pull the permit, a lot of people, homeowners, just aren't aware. You know, if Joe, air conditioning guy, says, so, ma'am, did you want us to pull a permit or not? Well, what do I need that for? Well, it's going to cost you an extra $700. Oh, well, then I'll just skip it. And what they do is they oversize systems. I mean, it's I just talked with a client 2 days ago, 800-square-foot house. The air conditioner guy came out and said, yeah, you need a 3-ton system. And that is 3 times too big for that home. And a lot of guys do that where they cut corners just so that they make up for the leakiness in the ducts and what have you they have. But this is great about this program, Energy Upgrade California, is that it's all performance-based. So there's quality control pieces all the way along. All of the contractors are extremely vetted that get into it, that are allowed to do the work.
And are the prices all the same, or it just depends, I guess, like anything, who you deal with in terms of the cost of having, your insulation redone or having some of these different 5 steps dealt with?
You know, it's up to the individual contractor what they want to do.
But I wasn't sure if there was a set thing, because I know you guys are
that's collusion. That's illegal, Cindy. We can't do that stuff. We can talk to set prices ahead of time. But it's just pretty much what fair market. But the thing that people need to be aware of is that there's different levels. Just because someone's saying they're putting in insulation, it doesn't mean that they're doing it properly. Because if there's any more than a 1/4 inch of an air gap in insulation, it loses 40% of its R value.
So that's why you guys, who are all listed on this website, although the state's very clear about saying, hey, we can't guarantee everything, but we think these guys are pretty darn good because they've gone through all these tests, and explain to everybody what those tests are to show that you are not only licensed and a decent guy as a contractor, but also green certified too, right?
Yeah, I personally don't like the word green.
Okay.
Personally, just because green, that you can't quantify it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I like
what word
sustainable.
Would you prefer?
I like sustainable
Okay.
or energy efficient or things like that. But everybody has to go through the training to get to. You have to have a BPI, which is called Building Performance Institute certified individual on staff for anybody that does the work. And when you're BPI trained, that's one of the highest levels that you can get in the industry when it comes to energy efficiency. And we study all the things where it comes to how the house works as a whole system, how everything works together, and of course with the carbon monoxide testing, it's called CAS testing, that they do. And each job has to have that done. And the quality control piece is that not only as a BPI certified individual do you have to get do things to a certain standard, but the program checks on random percentage of the jobs where they come in behind to make sure that all the contractors are doing things according to what they say they are. And it's a great program.
So let's say that we have someone assess us, and we get an F. We need to basically have at least 5 things done. Mm-hmm. How long does it take? What happens? And are all these people coming into our home at once? And can you just take baby steps? I mean, kind of walk us through all that.
You know, the beauty of the program is that you can choose from the smorgasbord of possibilities. It's not just 5. 5 is just on the basic path. That's why I don't even let people go on the basic. None of my customers will ever do the basic, because for the same amount of stuff that you do, I'd rather put them on the performance path, the advanced path, because then then you get rewarded for the more energy efficient you make your home. Mm-hmm. So you can pick and choose from whatever you want. What we do is we model the home. We do part of the audit. We go through this software program. We made an energy model of the home, so it'll tell you everything that's going on with it energy efficiency wise. Then we can run different scenarios and say, all right, if we put insulation in the walls, insulation in the attic, air seal it down to a certain level, get the duct system down to a certain level, put in more insulation around that, put a highly efficient unit, what's going to be the percentage of improvement is going to be.
So you can tell us how much we're going to save.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what the software program does, and then we put in those measures. Mm-hmm. Different companies do. Some general contractors, they sub it out. My company, Building Doctors, we do everything in house. That's my business plan. Mm-hmm. We have our own insulation equipment. We're a heating and air conditioning contractor as well, so we do everything itself. And then when we're done, we do that same audit again. Do the same checks to see everything that was put into it, and then we build that same energy model again with the exact results of exactly what was done in. The first guy that went through the program, this guy Bob out in Chino Hills, he's the first guy. He just I don't want to say his last name,
okay,
but Bob
the wannabe builder.
He got Bob T, and he got his first check for $4,000 because we got him to 40%. But what the energy model that I made
got him to 40%. What
40% improvement on his utilities.
Isn't that great?
And so, but when I did the model, we actually had him at 36%. But when we were done, we did such a great job. We did even better than we thought. He got the extra money because it's what the final measure numbers are, and that's what's great about the program. Again, we don't guess, we test. Now,
do you have something at home that comes with all this so we can monitor our energy performance throughout the month?
Well, there are. Edison is one of the leaders of it, and they have the real-time metering, the smart meters that are great. That's going to be the set in the industry nationwide at some point. Edison has always been ahead of the curve, so they definitely are doing that already.
Because we were back at the International Builders Show, and we went to this all-green KB home inspired by Martha Stewart, and one of the elements was this system put in by Verve, and it's basically a computer in every room of the house, and you can see the minute the lights are turned on, and it's going it's like meters inside the house, and you can see, oh my gosh, Johnny, turn off the lights. You're wasting energy. I mean, you can see when someone takes a shower. And so I guess that really is the future, isn't it, to have all that?
Absolutely. And that's the way that it's real-time metering so you can know what's going on. I encourage that with my customers, that we get these little things called a kilowatt meter. It's a real simple little thing. It's inexpensive that we plug into a wall. And then when the child that leaves on a light or leaves something else on, when they go, it'll tell you exactly what that's costing you every minute. And that really, really sinks in a lot more because you don't see it. Nobody looks at the meter. You don't get your bill until the end of the month.
So we have 2 seconds.
Sure.
The most it would cost to do all these things like Bob did would be what?
It ranges everywhere. That I had a client that we did insulation walls, insulation in the attic, got her down here. She got a 22% improvement. She got $2,500 back from the program. It was $6,000 to do those measures. Bob went way over the top, and we put everything into it. He was in the high teens.
Okay. Great to have you, Dr. Dan Thomsen with the Building Doctors, and we'll have to check back as this program progresses and see how people, we're going to talk to some homeowners and see how they are living the experience and seeing the reality of what you're talking about, improving their lives. So thanks.
Thanks so much for having me.
Again, the website is energyupgradeca.org. And what's your website?
Buildingdoctors.com.
Who knew? Okay. Thanks so much. Let's segue into hour 2. The fun continues. We're going to head to the garden right now. Cindy Dole, Home Wizards, we're back as we segue right after this.